What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It is the King and I Life podcast, hosted by myself, Soul Toucher the Poet, and my brother, Son Soul X, in his joint. Check it out. Hit us up, www.kingandilife.com, for all our podcast info. Subscribe to whatever podcast platform that you choose. Also, hit us up, KINGANDEYE369@gmail.com. Email us your suggestions, your feedback, and all that good stuff. Tune in to us live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, Wednesdays, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And make sure you like, subscribe, and share, because we are all over all those social media platforms. Stay tuned for the good stuff. Yeah, we out. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. It's the King and I Life podcast. We are back talking about pharmaceuticals in our society. Today it's me, your boy, Soul Toucher the Poet, and my brothers,
Son Soul X.
All right, let's get back into it, man. What we on now?
Man, let's go with this. At what point does a patient become a consumer? What are the ramifications for health maintenance?
Patient become a consumer. Shit, all the time. I mean, but it depends on what you mean by a consumer. Do you mean a consumer by a user, or a consumer as in a purchaser? Which one do you mean?
I mean a consumer as in, when you come to a certain point, whether it be through age or through injury, and your doctor prescribes you something, is he prescribing you that medicine for short term or long term? And by doing either one, that's when you become the consumer.
I guess that would be better worded if you say, at what point does a person become a patient or an addict or an abuser? Because either way that you define consumer, soon as you start using that product, you are a consumer of that product. Soon as you purchase that product, you are a consumer of that product. So I guess I would look at that. How does a person become an abuser or an addict? And that boils down to, what I said earlier about self-medicating.
Right.
Because most medications that we consume are for short term, unless they're for a specific need. And what I mean by that is like insulin, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, possibly migraine, medicine for depression, anxiety, stuff like that. Now, if you're talking about pain medicine, more than likely that's supposed to be short term. And when you ask what the ramifications are for health maintenance, again, that goes to the individual. Because if a doctor prescribes me a prescription for something that I'm only supposed to use for, let's just say, 3 to 4 weeks, and after those 3 to 4 weeks, I claim that, I'm still having this issue, and I get a refill, at that point, I can possibly become an abuser. You can also become an abuser or addict when you start taking that prescription in excess. And what I mean by that is, if you're only supposed to be taking 2 pills a day, 2 times a day, or 4 pills a day, 2 pills a day, 2 times a day, meaning 4 pills in total per day, or you're not supposed to take more than 6 in a 24-hour period, and you, in your infinite wisdom, decide to take more than that because, I'm in so much pain, then you become the abuser / addict. But again, the ramifications of for health maintenance, it's a slippery slope to me, because of course no one can say how much pain someone is in or isn't in, but you have to be responsible with your medications. Some people get a prescription and just say that prescription says 2 pills a day, 2 times a day, and maybe that's not enough for their pain, or maybe they just want a higher dose so they can take less pills. Who knows? But at that point, you should, hey, call your doctor. Hey, this prescription ain't working for me. I need a higher dose, or I need a different medicine, or whatever the case may be. Um, we all know well, we all know far too well that a lot of times in our communities, that no one is really being responsible in that manner. Um, and they just overdoing it because they overdoing it. And you know, we can all read, uh, uh, we can all comprehend instructions when we want to. And if there are some people who will use up a prescription faster than what they're supposed to, and they'll ask somebody else if they have some of the same pills, or they'll go back to their doctor and say, oh, I lost them, I dropped them down the sink, or whatever the case may be. Wham, re-up their prescription, and here we go on this slippery slope of being abusers and addicts. But again, I know a lot of people don't trust the medical field, but you can't blame the medical field if you are not following directions. And that's where I'll stick that at.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. For me, I would say when a patient becomes a consumer, again, they're taking whatever that prescription is in the hopes of getting well.
Mm-hmm.
So when they start consuming that product and they're not getting well, I think that's when they go from being a consumer to actually slowly turning into an addict.
Mm.
And it all starts off so innocently. That's the crazy part. I remember this one guy. I can't remember where I was looking at his story, but he basically said that he twisted his ankle getting off a ladder. I think he was putting up Christmas lights or something like that. But anyway, he had one of those jobs that require him to be on his feet a lot. So he, when he twisted his ankle, he went to the doctor, went through that whole thing of getting a prescription and, doctor recommending what steps he needed to take in order to heal his ankle. It wasn't broken, but it wasn't exactly, where it was supposed to be either. But anyway, so he went from someone who just needed something to help heal his ankle into losing everything, meaning his family, his cars, his home, everything, because he became an addict over something so simple as a damn twisted ankle. So it's crazy how easy and innocent something starts off, and the next thing you know, you're losing every goddamn thing. So when it comes down to the ramifications of your health, I think everyone would like to be in good health. Mm-hmm. That's not the case, unfortunately, but I think everyone would like to be in good health. And then there's some people just don't give a damn. But either way, I think for the most part, people take their health seriously, even if it's just from the mental aspect. They might not go to the gym and actually physically work out, but somewhere in their mind they're saying, I wish I could be more healthier. Whether that's, through actually doing a physical education behind it, or watching what they eat, or things along that line. But again, anytime it comes down to your health, it requires effort. So from the drugs that we may take or pharmaceuticals that we may take to actually get in the gym, it takes both, especially your mental game. But yeah, oh man, it's just one of those topics that is so vast that you can really go anywhere with it. But I'll leave it at that.
I wanted to hang on that what you just last said, but I want to move that into what you have down here: access biases. Does this exist? When you say people generally want good health and such, whatever the percentage may be out there,
Right.
to me, I have to give a little pushback because we have the information out there. The information is out there. Studies have been conducted, whether they are swayed one way or another. It's just out there. Um, you know, and I'll use myself as an example. I have bad knees and a bad back. Sometimes I could be in the bed and can't get comfortable because I have these sharp pains in my back, and sometimes when I walk, my knee feel like it's going to lock up. I can't squat because if I squat, my knees are going to be on fire. I can't walk up and down too many stairs because it hurts. I can't run for a considerable distance because not only are my knees going to be on fire, but my shins are going to be on fire. But yet I refuse to take any type of medications for those, because for me, I don't want the pain eased. I want the pain gone. So I say that to say, I know a lot of people who have aches and pains that do absolutely nothing about them. And I mean nothing about them. Like I physically look at these people, and it's like no matter what their ailment is, they can have bad knees, bad back, bad joints wherever, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, and they really don't do the work. And then the end result is they're either getting on these medications that they could have avoided if they did the work, or they're having these procedures done that they could have avoided if they done the work. And far too often, people are using pharmaceuticals and procedures as the easy fix. Yes, there's. I believe there are a lot of people who have a quest to be in good health, and you see them out there.
Yeah.
But when you look at how many people that are like in your immediate circle or your immediate vicinity, and again, and I mentioned, I think I mentioned this on our addiction topic. You know, instead of doing the work, they smoking weed because they're in pain. And it's like, if you're in pain, why don't you just go do what the hell you're supposed to do to get rid of the pain instead of just smoking weed to ease the pain? Because once you come off that goddamn high, the pain is still going to be there. It ain't going nowhere. You've done nothing. The only thing that you have done is the same thing that you go get a prescription and it's going to do the same thing. It's just going to ease the pain. So when I look at it from that aspect, it's like it's just crazy. But jumping back to access biases and whether they exist or not, I'm going to say I'm going to lean more towards no. Um, Healthcare is expensive. Um, it's expensive across the board. But the one thing that we have to take into consideration is if you don't have health insurance, it's not like you're not going to be treated. Like, just so you can go to a health department, you can always go to an emergency room. You might get a bill in the mail if you don't have insurance and you go to certain places, but I've never seen anyone get turned away from medical care in modern times. Maybe during segregation and Jim Crow, they might, nah, we're not treating you here. Get up out of here. Maybe them times, or you got poor treatment, but more than likely you're going to get treated. And we can talk all day about how different races are being treated differently in the medical whatever, but it for the most part it's available. Um, but I think people use these talking points to prove an invalid point.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I think, access bias. I'm gonna have to go with a no on that one also. There's in some situation you're gonna have to do a little bit of traveling to get to, an emergency room or hospital or to your doctors. But again, as far as like coming down to the actual product that you need, as far as prescription, again, you might have to do a little bit of traveling, but it's out there. It's crazy because at this point in history, again, the pharmaceutical companies, they're not going to turn away a customer. They're just not.
Mm-hmm.
They don't give a damn if you got $1 million in the goddamn bank or 3 pennies in the bank. If they can get those 3 pennies from you, you damn sure better bet your sweet ass they're going to get those 3 pennies. So it doesn't matter where you come from or what your background is. If they can make you a customer, they are. There's just no denying that. I don't know. It's again, you can damn near get a drug before you can get a drink of water in this country.
I wouldn't go that far.
Damn near.
Shit.
Damn
I can
near.
get a drink of water anywhere.
It might not be clean, but you can get it.
Yeah, I can get clean water. But I mean, to your point, I do get what you're saying, but I can give me some water. But yeah, I mean, drugs are too available. And it's like the crazy thing about it is you can get these drugs any damn where. And you don't have to go to your doctor. Somebody has it. So I mean, people can it's just frustrating to me because some of these same people who whine and complain about the lack of access, some of them are puppets. And it's easy to go in certain communities and get a puppet and say, oh, healthcare is not available, prescription medicine is not available, and blah blah blah. And it's like, that's a lie. Like, to me, it's a flat out lie. I think the other thing that you have to take into consideration is that a lot of people, no, some people, I'm not going to say a lot, some people do not believe in modern healthcare. They don't trust it, or they can't afford it for whatever reason. That goes into a different topic that we're not even on right now, but that that has to be looked at. It's like if you know at some point in your life you're going to need medical insurance or medical care or whatever, then you should position yourself to be able to afford it. Especially if you have children. Again, I get it; it's expensive sometimes, but if you plan your life properly, then it should not be too much out of reach.
When it comes down to, you remember back in, I don't know if you remember or not, but in like the 2000s, like the early to mid 2000s, where pretty much everyone was coming from all across the country to certain states, meaning like Texas and parts of California, and unfortunately my home state of Florida, coming down to get goddamn prescription drugs,
Mm-hmm.
like by the bus goddamn loads.
Mm-hmm.
That blew my mind when I watched, I think it was a CNN special they did about that. But again, people were coming from everywhere. I mean, literally everywhere from across the world to get these goddamn prescription drugs, man.
Mm.
It was just that necessary. Like, I remember they're doing the story on certain doctors who were, basically writing out prescriptions they knew weren't legit, but hell, you got the
Mm-hmm.
money, I got the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they were, showing the lifestyle that these doctors were uh, leading. I remember one doctor in particular, he had pretty much every hot sports car at the time, everything from a Lamborghini to the latest damn Camaro. It was
Mm.
lived in this huge mansion and had this fly yacht. For those of
Mm.
you who remember what the word fly means, but I say that to say this: that was a case of where the pharmaceutical companies we're not keeping it in the closet anymore. Let's get
Mm.
this dollar. So when they say, some people have problems with access to get these things, back then it was pretty much like running water. It was just too easy to get it.
Mm.
And since then they've cracked down a lot, meaning some of the lawful organizations within our country and like, hey man, y'all getting out of hand with this. So that's why things aren't as abundant as they
Mm.
used to be as far as access.
Well, we do all know that when doctors prescribes certain medicines or whatever pharmaceuticals, they get kickbacks. So, you know, if you can't get it in your state and you can catch a bus to Florida, California, wherever to get it, then come on. I'll write your prescription because I'm gonna get a kickback from this company. And you know, what can you do? Like, I mean, it's just like that. So, I mean, you can't get away from that. So, I mean, when you look at that aspect of the thing, um, yeah, you just can't get away from that. I think it's crazy though. I mean, but if you're in your local area, there are means to get to it. And why we talking about this? What burns me up
Mm-hmm.
is when people talk about stuff being so far away from them and oh, they can't get this and they can't get that. But god damn it, when it's something that you really want, you'll find a way to get it. You know, the weed man might be 30 minutes away, but I bet if you want a bag of weed, you'll find a way to get it. You know, you want to sniff a line of coke, I bet you'll find a way to get it. And 9 times out of 10, they ain't coming to you. You'll find a way to them. So when you look at it from that aspect, if you can find a way to the corner drug man, why can't you find your way to the hospital or whatever the case may be? And here's the crazy thing.
Mm-hmm.
In the county that I live in, we don't have mass transit like in the city or whatever.
Right.
But we have a shuttle. I don't know how much it is, but it's not that damn much. If it's $1 or $2, it might be that, but I don't think it's more than that. And it'll take you to the hospital. It'll take you to the health department. It'll take you to places like patient for urgent care and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of don't want to hear that nonsense. I mean, there are people who can't get around. I get it. And the crazy thing about today, we have home health care, so you can dial a doctor to come out to your crib. But it all boils down to how you take care of your life. If you have entered adulthood slacking like hell, of course you don't have access to it. That's your damn fault. You can't keep blaming the system. You can't keep blaming the government because the government is not telling you to enter adulthood a jackass. That's a personal decision. To a degree on that, I don't have any sympathy for some of these people. Yes, there are people out there who literally do not have access to stuff. Got it. But at the same time, some of y'all have access and y'all just puppets. That's just my opinion. And I'll leave that right there.
I have nothing to add to that, bro. I really don't. I got nothing on that one, folks.
I might have got in my feelings a little bit.
No, it's all good. I mean, because the thing that people fail to realize, the truth is the truth. I don't give a damn how people give it to you, whether they sugarcoat it or just give it to you raw. Truth is the truth. Again, with these, man, I get so frustrated because my thing is this, right? You know, having an elderly grandmother, and when I get a chance to visit her and hear about some of the horror stories, you know, that she'll tell me about some of her friends who don't have access to the prescriptions that they need, or, you know, basically being in a situation where they have to choose whether to eat or keep the lights on, or their prescription drugs. That's a problem. Like, that's a serious problem. And, you know, my grandmother, she's a very educated woman, and all of her friends are along that line. So all of them have, you know, did what they are supposed to have done in their younger years, meaning work and saved and trusted the retirement system. Well, unfortunately, it's really not working, in the sense that, again, if you have to make the decision to get your prescription drugs, get food, or keep your lights on, that's a hard decision to make.
Yeah.
Especially knowing you did everything you know, as an individual was supposed to have done. You did. But because prescription drugs are so goddamn high, some of them have to go without having damn lights a little bit longer than what they supposed to. Because again, when you're taking the amount of pills that they're taking per day, it's ridiculous.
Right.
I mean, I understand it's a business. And I think that's part of the reason why these pharmaceutical companies get away with the bullshit that they do. Because their excuse for charging you so goddamn much for these outrageous damn prices for these prescriptions is business.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to business, there is no right or wrong. For them, that's their excuse to say, I don't have to be right or wrong. It's business.
Yeah.
That's crazy, but it's, you know, it's commerce, as they say. But I do sympathize with what you're saying, and I sympathize with those who actually did what they're supposed to have done, but for whatever reason, they're still being compromised because they have to make that decision at the end of the day. Which one do I go with? Crazy.
Yeah. But hey, it's King and Light Live Podcast. You know how to get at us. We'll be back.
For sure.